Welcome to the Power of Awareness with G100 Global Networking and United States. And today we would love to share with you, we'll be sharing with you the importance of having different aspects of awareness, as well as how we can become more aware. And to do this, the first one I would love to welcome is Lori. Lori Sterling's our Western Region Chair of the of United States Global Networking G100. Welcome, Lori. Lori, I know you are very passionate and an expert in circular economy and environmental. Why do you think it is important for us to have environment awareness about our environment?
Well, first off, I'm so happy to be here, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to talk to everyone in the G100 group. Yes, what a great question, because awareness is everything. It drives the decisions we make. It drives even how we see the decisions that we can make. And when we can look at our environment from a position of recognizing the interconnectedness of everything. If we look at an ecosystem, everything is connected as a community in and of itself and connected to the outside communities. We can do the same thing with our economies in having people do well from the economy, having our planet do well from the economy. And how we see that as an opportunity really drives what steps we take. So I love when we think about a lot of indigenous communities, they have this awareness that we are the ancestors of the generations yet to come. And we make decisions from the generations 4, 5, 6 past us. We do that each day when we make a little decision like what laundry detergent to buy. When we buy those big plastic laundry detergents, those plastic jugs last 400 years. So when we're thinking from a level of awareness that my decisions now, they matter, that I'm thinking about the generations after me, not just myself, when I'm thinking how this beautiful planet works and how abundant it is, there's so many different ways that we can come from that awareness to look at how can I still prosper? How can we still have these wonderful things that we have in our world and do it in a way that's sustainable and that promotes life? So that's the way I think it so matters what viewpoint we're coming from when we look at how we build our economies and what they're for and the standpoint to look at things. So that's why I think awareness really matters.
Oh, that is so beautiful. I love that, how it is. In other words, you're saying that when you have an awareness, because some people say that, with awareness, okay, now we are environmentally conscious and then we're going to go poor. But you said you build a circular economy, and it's good for the environmental, and then it is good for us as well, and it'll help us prosper even more in a globally connected way with our environment and our earth. And I know, Mar, your expertise is in connections, global networking, and I think that I love how this goes together here in it, talking about connected with our environment, our natures. Share with us, Mar. So why is it? Why are you passionate? Why in your mind it is important to be connected among each other? But your work goes literally across the world, multiple continents. Why is it so important for us to really connect and support each other and bring each other up?
Thank you so much, Bridget and Lori. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for thinking on me when you were figuring out the event on what is the power of awareness, and you thought I could make a contribution. Before I say it, I would like to highlight your work as national chair in US for global networking. You have shown professionalism, commitment, passion, and you are a compassionate person, and you work exactly consistent with where you are. All values, compassion, passion, professionalism, empathy, all that is your work, that is the definition of your work, is exactly what we need on the social media, on the networks, on the connections. However, it's not that easy, and not all the people jump into the train of awareness. And what I mean with that, I mean the train of this wake up call to be solidarity, to be compassion. And we need a war, we need a pandemic to become solidarity, to become compassion. It's very sad to think that we need crisis to be aware of that. But that it was what really happened. And we see the explosion of communication in social media is mainly because of that, because the people need to be informed. However, is it what really happened? We are more communicating. You have said that before. Yes, it's true. But how we are communicating? Because now it's more a matter of image, rather fake, I would say. What is really the deep meaning? What is when you see this overlap of ideas or thoughts, where do you find the critical thinking? Where do you find the organization, the group, the network that really boosts your creativity, your critical thinking in relation to what is happening in the world? If not, we are not going to a sustainable world, getting into sustainable world, into sustainability. We are only going through a journey that is sustainable in terms of their own existence. So there is Facebook, there is LinkedIn, there is our network, but if you don't give a meaning, it's just born to die. It's a very short trip. So we need to give content with that. The speed of technology had to be aligned with the speed of thoughts, and in the end, on values. We need a results-driven action with values. And I would like to highlight that, because we need to enrich, to print the networks with values. Doesn't mean that they have to be new values. Many times we have heard that. It's a new word, we need new values. In my opinion, it's just that we need to work with the traditional values and see how they adapt it to a new reality. The networks, and especially the virtual one, are a new dimension with new social digital codes. So more digitalization, yes. More technology, yes. But printed with values, and above all, with ethics.
That is so beautiful. That is so, I just, so much valuable informations in there. I love how I'm going to quote that, you know, the speed of technology need to align with the speed of our thought. And we want to be in an environment where it allow us to embrace critical thinkings, while still observing our values, adapting our old values. And that is just so beautiful, knowing who we are and being able to think forward. And in the most beautiful way, that bring us actually to our next speaker. Our next speaker is our guest speaker, Bill Panta. And Bill is not able to be here personally, but we do have a beautiful conversations, a beautiful recording with him. And so I'm going to share that right now. Bill is an amazing, wonderful coach and executive trainer who is an expert in the awareness for mindset awareness. And here's our conversations with Bill. Bill is a coach and an executive trainer with many decades of experience. He looks too young. You look too young for that, Bill. But I know you have amazing experience behind you, being a coach, helping people, as well as being an executive trainer, helping many people and companies succeed. And so Bill, you're going to share with us in this power of awareness discussions the importance of having awareness about our minds, kind of like mindset awareness. Share with us more about that, Bill, if you don't mind.
Well, thank you, and it's an honor to be here. I'm glad we can finally do this together. You know, I believe that in all my years, I work very, very close with Bob Proctor, and Bob would say that 95% of our success in life is mindset, and somewhere around 5% is our skill or our strategy. And I can see that in so many areas of our lives. If we really, each of us, take just a second and look, a lot of times we try to master skill, but if we master mindset, the skill comes much quicker. You look at doctors, they go to school for years and years and years to master their skill and to become a doctor. But then to become businessmen and become successful, they have to turn back and come back on their mindset to accomplish that, because skill takes us, we can earn a living with skill, but we can create a lot of freedom with our mindset. And abundance and freedom are totally our birthrights, but it comes from the developed mindset. And, you know, we talk about the power of awareness. We talk about the ability to see or to understand or to be aware. And that's a skill that is necessary. It's both mindset and skill, but the necessity of developing awareness is critical, because, I mean, when you look at generational programming with families, you can see that a lot of families stay the same generation after generation after generation. And then there might be one or two of the family members that will jump up and go to school, become doctors, become successful, both, you know, physically, emotionally, financially, spiritually. And that is due to an awareness level or a change in their mindset. And the way you do that is through education. Education is sacred. Bob Proctor used to talk about the importance of education, but he would say that your experience is more important than the education itself. So we have to learn. And the fastest way to have that ability to learn is to study. Self-study. Self-studying is critical. Successful people, in my experience, over the last 20-something years, I've studied this material, probably close to 27 years. Successful people have mentors and coaches. They surround themselves with the right people, within the environment of people who think differently, and then they take action. It's not just talk; they take action. And so awareness comes through the key of learning. So we learn, but then we take action. We start doing, and then as we start doing, we develop that skill and that understanding at the same time. And that is the thing that creates freedom. And then when we do that, Neville talks about, when we learn to control our thoughts through study and understanding, then we can start to see the truth in the future. We can start to pull towards us those people, tools, and resources that we need to close the gap from where we are to where we want to be. And so, you know, a lot of people are delusional. They dream, they hope, they wish. But if you can study to have the awareness and surround yourself with the right people, and then take the knowledge and turn it into action and start doing, that creates that abundance or that power of awareness that helps us to close the gaps. That sets generational change faster than anything we can experience in life. We know we can change our conditioning or our paradigms through two ways, and that's through study and repetition in the right environment, or through shock. And nobody wants to have shock. So it's vital that we learn how to have an absolute understanding of what awareness is. And that awareness is through the power of study, and it's through the power of the right environment.
I love that. You mentioned briefly about doctor, and looking back, you know, that is very true. My background is in medicine. And I remember even talking about the mindset and the awareness about how your mind works. And that back in the day, I didn't know anything about mindset or awareness, but I remember it was sitting there and believing that I was not a good surgeon. So it's just like this scalpel just like it's going to turn around and bite me or something. And at some point, and the same thing, to pass the exams, to become an oncologist specialist, we have like 3 days of exam. And at some point at the beginning, I just like, there's no way I can pass this sucker. And then at some point, you know, you're talking about the change, and you're like, no, scalpel doesn't turn around and bite you. And yes, with enough, like you said, the preparations and things. Well, in that case, I have all these teachers and the mentor to help me and say, okay, yes, I can pass this. And then when I changed my mind like that, is when actually I was able to say, okay, you know what? I can do the surgery. I got an A in my surgery rotations, and I passed the exam, become a boarded oncologist. So that was really interesting. Now you mentioned about truth, and for many people, they're like looking around and say the truth. It's called recession. It's called no job. It's called whatever the COVID or whatever you want to believe. How do we have more awareness? How do we able to get kind of filter what's out there, and how do we know who we can trust?
Yeah, that is such a good point. I think that when adversity, outside challenges, you mentioned the economy and maybe gas prices and recession and jobs. Adversity, when translated correctly, Bridget, it helps us to get to our goals or objectives faster, but we have to translate it, and it takes growth to understand how to translate it. And that generally speaking comes from our identity and how we see ourselves. And do you identify yourself with the environment? Are you part of the recession? Are you part of the joblessness? Are you part of the expensive fuel? I was filling up my car yesterday, and I don't like paying $5 something, almost $6 for fuel. But then I realized the tank holds 25 gallons or whatever it is. It's $50 more. Now I know that's a significant amount of income, but as I thought through, I thought, wait a minute, I can make that look small in my mind. And so I was able to just get control. And that's what awareness does. Awareness through repetition of study, development, growing yourself, being willing to accept the truth that's on the inside. What do you want and why do you want it? And when do you want it? And who is showing up in your life to help you achieve that goal will teach you to have self-control. And when you have self-control, you'll fuse better with the truth of what you want. Now, do we ignore the outside? Do we put on rose-colored glasses and pretend that there's not a recession? No, we don't do that. But we don't have to participate in the mindset that comes from that. We can participate in increase and not in lack. Because when you're aware and you understand that we are in charge of ourselves, and the only problem I have, the only problem you have is you or I. It's not the outside. It's not he, she, or they. It's me. And when I accept that responsibility through being aware, now I have the gift and the power to be the agent of my identity and have control and take responsibility. Because then I can do something. If I take away blame the economy, blame the food prices, blame this, blame the president. If we just set that aside, even though that's frustrating, and we say, okay, I'm going to take responsibility for my own life. That is awareness, and that is freedom. And that allows you to ask the right questions, and then the right people, tools, and resources start to show up in our lives. And so the truth is what do you want and why do you want it? That's the real truth.
I love that. You can have everything, and you're not like, because a lot of people nowadays say, oh yeah, coaches and all these things, they're making you Pollyanna and say, oh, well, everything is good in the world, and the facts is the facts. But I love how you say you can have all these things, but you don't have to participate in it. That's just so amazing, so powerful. So if people want to learn more about this, want to hear more from you about how they can become more aware about their own mindset, so they don't have to participate or fall in the loophole of everybody else, how do people connect with you?
Yeah, I'm more than happy to have strategy sessions with individuals if it would make sense for them to do that, to gain clarity and some order. And they could reach me at billb@keepelevated.com, or they could just text me on my mobile at area code 208-589-4017. I am on Instagram and I am on Facebook. I don't do a lot of marketing there, but I am there, and they could reach me on Messenger there as well. And then they might just want to put that they met me through here so that I would know who they were.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing with us your email and your direct number as well for someone who is as eminent as you are. Thank you for that precious gift for all of our audience. Thank you so much, Bill. It's such an honor and a delight and a gift to be able to have you you share your time with us. Thank you so much, Bill Banta, coach and exec. Thank you so much. And that is our amazing guest, Bill Banta, an executive coach as well as executive trainer and coach, with his share about the importance of mindset awareness. And I just love how he says that you can have all these things that's going on, and at the same time, you can choose to be empowered, which is basically what you, Lori, and Mar both saying. So allow us to have critical thinking.
Well, this is when I would love to take a moment and jump right in and ask you a question, Brigitte, because the years that I've known you, you always talk about the heart and the importance of the heart, and you yourself has such an open, giving, grateful, compassionate, loving heart. So to ask you the same question of help us understand why it's so important that we have an awareness about the power of the heart.
Thank you for that question, Lori. I love that, and thank you for turning the table to me. So the importance of the heart, to be mindful about our heart, and why we want to be aware about that. You know, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to invite you both and our listener here to just a couple minutes. I promise it will only really be just a couple minutes of experiment, and it's just an experiment, but this will allow you to feel your heart, and then we can talk about all the technical things. And so if you like to, you just sit back on your chair or wherever. If you are able to close your eyes, it's good to close your eyes. But if you're not comfortable or it's not safe to close your eyes, you don't have to. So I just invite you to imagine that you are coming to visit me. It'll be so wonderful for us to see in person, to meet in person. You're coming to visit me here in Los Angeles. And there are all the great things about Los Angeles that you've known. But you also know that Los Angeles has its crime. And Los Angeles has a lot of gangster and the ghettos, you know, the slums of Los Angeles and things like that. Now, I already told you that certain days that the traffic's better. So you choose to visit me on Sunday. It's going to be better traffic. And you decided that you're going to drive because, I mean, it's America. People drive orderly. You got on a car, you drive here, and wow, the traffic is so much worse than you could imagine. What does Brigitte means? This is good traffic. And people just swerving and cutting in front of you. And you can feel from deep in your heart, you're fuming out. Oh God, what is all these mad people driving? And it's stop and go and stop and go. And you said, oh dear, I'm going to be so late. And you finally get into the neighborhood where you're supposed to be. And unfortunately, because you're late and the time changed, it's getting dark there. And you're already rushing and your heart already racing here. And then you suddenly realize something's not quite right. I must have gotten lost. And you look at your GPS and somehow you just realize that your GPS not working. And here you are, things getting dark and your GPS not working, your heart just racing. And you look around and say, where am I? And that's when you notice the scary graffiti and the splashing on the wall, some dirt, some really rundown building. And you look around closer and there it is. Sure enough, broken bottles and trash all over on the side of the street, your heart just racing now. And you said, oh dear, my GPS not working, broken bottle. And you saw needles as well on the side of the street. And you said, I'm getting out of here right now with your heart racing, and you can feel it in your body. And then you get in your car and jump it, and that's when you notice that your tires blow because it's run over a broken glass, and your heart just pounding, and you just, as you get ready to get out of the car, you hear this gunshot sound, and you close your car and you sit in your car and your stomach hurt and you feel that you're going to vomit. Someone knock on your car window and you are vomiting. You close your eyes and you hear my voice. Hi, is that you? Oh my God, this is Birgit. This is Birgit. I was looking for you. I thought you got lost. I decided to drive around the neighborhood. Is that you? You are okay. And you open your eyes and you saw me. Your heart just stopped pounding. And I said, oh gosh, your car, your tires blow. No worry, my car is right here. Let's get in my car. You follow me. And that's when you realize that gunshot sound was actually the sound of my car door closing. You step in my car, it's comfortable. You feel that the seat embrace you and the soft music's on. My house right around the corner. We walk through the back gate and you are in my studio and you can feel the soft floor and you look around with the soft, gentle music still going, and you see as if you are in an Italian garden, and you feel in your heart that you are safe, and you feel that you're relaxed. You notice that your heart's no longer racing, and as you look through the other side of the studio, you see an open ocean. Even though it's getting dark, you can see the light. And you feel so relaxed and you feel so at ease and at peace deep in your heart. And you notice that you're relaxed. You even have a smile on your face without you realizing it. And you just feel so good. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Now, I like to invite you to perhaps look back to literally about 3 minutes ago when you were in that car and racing and the car tire blow up and you got in this neighborhood and you hear the gunshot. You might be able to look back and notice how tense your body was. Was your heart racing? If you were following me along, your heart was racing. And then just like that, like with a switch, your heart relaxes. You are safe and you are relaxed now and you're smiling. And this is why we have the importance to have the awareness of our mind and of our heart, because our heart studies shows that actually, I'm going to screen share really quick here. Studies shows that our heart actually is very, very powerful. Bill talked about the importance of our mind. Mars talked about the importance of our mind as well. And that is very true. Our mind is very, very important and very powerful. And at the same time, the HeartMath Institute shows that the heart actually move in so much faster and with so much more power than our mind. Have you ever have a time when you are walking somewhere or maybe you are outside or something and you hear a noise and just like that just now, your heart jumping, you're like, oh my God, what is that? And then you realize, oh, it's a piece of plastic or it's a wind blowing. Why? When that happened, your heart your fear or your heart overpower your mind. And this is because, as if you can see my diagram here, my image here, this is a this is a diagram depicting the finding from the HeartMath Institute, showing that whatever going on in your heart, we know that our mind sends signals all the time, but our heart also sends signals. And the heart signals is 60 times stronger and faster than the one from our brain. Not only that, the HeartMath Institute study shows that we can measure with EKG 3 feet outside of your body, it's sometimes 6 feet, what's going on in your heart. So when your heart was racing or when your heart was relaxed, people can have an EKG 3 feet out and it still measure it. Even more important, whatever going on in your heart can be felt and measured by people all the way across the room from you. So if you were in the car just now, or you were in the room and somebody across the room, we could, and your heart racing, we could put an EKG on that other person or pets across the room, and we still measure it just as much. And that is the power of our heart. Dr. Joe Dispenza says that when you heal your heart, you heal your mind. And Bill says just now, when you have the mindset awareness, you can change your result. Same thing Mar says, let's allow us to think critically such that we'll be able to adapt. So that's, to me, that is why we want to have the awareness of our, to have a heart awareness, the importance of having the awareness of the power of the heart.
Thank you, Brigitte. That is just beautiful to help us understand that and to know that we always have our own heart as a barometer and we're transmitting. And animals can feel it, and it's such a powerful, powerful thing that's now being measured. So wonderful.
Thank you so much. And I do have questions, Lori. You talk about the importance of having awareness about environmental and how we can benefit our nature, our environment, ourselves as well. Now, how do people learn more about this? How can we become, what can we do to become more aware about our environmental?
Another great question. And when I was talking about the interconnectedness of all things, that also means that there's many avenues from which to look at this and to view it. And when we look at it as, in fact, a circular economy, there's many areas that we can have a wonderful impact. Like, say, with businesses. One simple example can be reusing tires that can then be repurposed for roads or different things like that. One company that used coconut was having mountains of husks, and they decided that instead of throwing those away and having to pay for that, they would then use those husks to be repurposed to make pallets that then carried their products. So that was able to do that. That created more jobs. And there's any number of ways that can happen. Governments can do that in terms of looking at what they're going to do as leaders to make this change. Just recently, I learned that the schools in New Jersey now, all across the state, are teaching about climate change in all the different subjects. So children are having this applied in their PE classes, their science classes, their math classes. Some of the school districts are using electric buses now. Another teacher has come up with an idea of calling it a bike bus. So the kids in the neighborhood, once a week, he comes through with a bike and every kid joins in with their bike, and they have this parade of kids and parents that bicycle to school instead of taking the bus. So another one is with people just making decisions about, what they purchase or choose not to purchase, or how they purchase, or what they do with their investments. Do they want to invest in a company that's still involved with fossil fuels, or do they want to invest in a company that uses practices of sustainable development and net positive practices? So there's lots of things that people can do. We can get involved in a Buy Nothing group where we build relationships in our communities by offering things that we no longer need that are still very useful. Going back to business also, there's so many different mindsets of ways that this can be circular. Another one is the idea, I think it's, forget which country in Europe, but instead of having people buy jeans, they are renting or leasing them, because it takes about 20,000 gallons of water or liters of water to make one pair of jeans. So what they're doing is people lease the jeans. When they're finished with them, they send them back to that company. Those same jeans material gets made into new jeans. So there's so many different ways when we think about how businesses and governments and people can do that. Another one was it during the pandemic in Bali, which is a country that's very much dependent on the tourist industry. They decided that they needed to come up with something different. So they got the idea of recognizing that plastics was polluting the island and polluting the oceans. And so the government and the businesses and some donors worked together to decide to find a way for people to have a way to earn a living and clean up the island. So they started exchanging rice for plastic. People would collect the plastic and they'd bring it in, and they would get rice to eat. And there were donors that helped pay for some of that rice, but it resulted in the island getting cleaned up. And it also supported local farmers to know that they would have a market for their product and people to buy it. So that's kind of a circular economy there. When we look at technology and this abundant world we live in, it's such an amazing time right now, because we're finding so many ways that energy can be generated. It can be generated from the tides going in and out. It can be generated from things just floating on top of the water. It can be generated from the transition of just temperature changes. That fluctuation can be trapped and used and released later. There's ways that gravity, they're finding ways that using skyscrapers and old mines, just the gravity of things going up and down generates electricity. So they're bringing it literally out of thin air in many ways. And from food waste, they're finding ways to make that into a film that can go on windows and generate electricity in that way. So what an exciting, amazing time as we continue to look at, what can we do to be a part of this interconnected world, this beautiful planet that we're in. It doesn't have to be an either or, we have great things or we destroy the planet. It's like we can have all these great things and do it in a sustainable way that builds communities. And what an amazing, wonderful time that we're in to see all of this. And I'm just so excited to, be a part of bringing this together and educating people and having schools be a part of it is just wonderful. And I appreciate the chance to share that with the listeners and with you. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Lori. That is so beautiful. And that is really a beautiful, sometimes we really think about something so big out there and say, oh, well, why not a multi-million-dollar corporations or this and that, therefore we can't do our part. But like you said, sometimes it's a decision. Do I buy this product that's more environmentally friendly, or do I buy this other one? And there are times when the environmentally friendly, it doesn't mean that it costs more, and in a way, sometimes it's make us more mindful about what it is that we buy instead of just piling up on things we don't need, like you say. So that is so beautiful. That's so beautiful. I love that. Mar, what is your thought? You mentioned about the importance about the being able to have connections and being able to have a container where you allow people critical thinking. So what are some ideas that people can do such that they can embrace this to improve their connectivity, to improve their being in alignment on, as you said earlier, as the technology, so the speed of technology allow their mind to expand as well. What are some things people can do to improve their connections and empower their mind.
Thank you, Bridget, and thank you, Laurie, because it was fantastic. I will use this part of this concept of recycling, of polluted environment, if you allow me to talk about connections and network. No? In relation to your wonderful exercise, Bridget, that you take us through that, I would like to say that you didn't impress me because I live in Spain. So my heart and my mindset was prepared for that. So with you. So with your example, I think that I control my heart. I'm able to control my heart. In relation to heart and environment, a polluted environment, how we could improve our connections. First, a question that I will return to you, the question, do we need more connections? We will need to improve our connections technologically. Or do we need, and this is the answer, do we need to be more prepared to be selective to our connections? That is the emphasis that I would like to put on this, because it's the one that I do. And I would give you the tool that I use. And using what Laurie wonderful described about what is our planet. We live in a polluted planet. We also live in a toxic environment in terms of communication. Massive media, including social media, is really toxic if we don't know how to handle. That's why it could be so risky to say we are going to improve our connections. Yes, but how we are going to improve? Because everyone will take it as you need more connection in terms of number, in terms of technology. That's innovation, and that is considered to be creative. I think we need to keep our heart, our mindset clean, and the way to keep clean is to be skillful enough to enter in and out the connections. To improve connection for me is that improve the quality of the way you relate to others and the message that you send. The message has to be an exercise of critical thinking. Each time you receive news, you need to know what they are talking about. And if not, you have to demand transparency and accountability. That is the two parts of this global multiple crisis that we are failing on that. For me, the axis for that process of transformation is silent. And it's not a contradiction. For me, silent is the best way that you could get rid to the noisy, to the storm that means social media and connections, because they are not in a consistent way. They are not coherent. There's not meaning when they send a message. We need to be able to know, to differentiate when there is a message and what not. And need to learn. That's the most important aspect. Learn when you have a network that boosts your creativity and accept and respect your individuality. Your individuality that if it is in the correct place, they will help others on this transformative process individually and also for the rest of the society. So painting transformation, let's paint transformation with a clean, with a green paint that we could do. And for that, we need to clean our thoughts. And we only keeping the distance and knowing exactly where we need to be is extremely important.
Beautiful. I love that. It is, and being selective is what it is, not just letting anything and everybody tells you and every other person, because as you say, there are certain things out there, including social media. There is some good part of the social media allow us to connect, but there are also some really interesting messages out there. And I love how you say it's about the silence and isn't that so true? Sometimes we have so much noise and so much chaos that we cannot, to the point we cannot hear ourselves. And the silence, and actually the silence of talking back about heart earlier, it's something that I teach my clients to be comfortable with silence, because that's when you have enough silence, that's when you can sit down and evaluate, and instead of running, you can sit down, evaluate, is this good for me, it's not. And you can, with silence, you can hear, like Bill says, do I want to participate, or do I want to stay strong where I am? And notice your mind. And also with silence is when you can hear your heart. We know that the heart does not talk to us like the mind. It talks in the most quiet way when you are silent and still. So that is so great, Mar. So thank you so much. I love all the contributions here from Lori and Mar and Bill earlier. And with the two of you, Mar and Lori, do you have any final message or any questions? Do you have a final message for our audience, or any questions you want to ask each other?
Well, Brigitte, I just wanted to follow up with you and ask you the same question that you asked us. After you helped us understand the awareness of why we need to know about our hearts, of just what would you recommend people do to, what can people do to open their heart, to understand their heart, to listen to their heart, to just be present for their heart?
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, definitely. So I would say a few things, and similar to what Mar says to a degree, and that is it starts with openness, because a lot of times people has the understanding that I saw this post in I believe in LinkedIn or maybe Facebook before that. At some point, everybody worshiped the power of the muscle. This was back in the day. Okay, everything is, using the muscle. And now we worship the power of the mind. Now, what we want to remember is, and that is the current concept. So the first thing about being able to know more about the power of the heart is to have an openness of the mind. Because if we strongly believe that this is the way, and this got to be the way, that I must have this, and regardless of what's the environment, that I must do that, regardless of anything else, then we're close. But if we're open our mind and say, let's just hear, let's just allow different idea about circular economy, about like Mar says, being aligned. And so on having an openness of our mind, and then to educate, which is what Bill says, to educate ourselves. And when it is something that is not as widely known as, say, your textbooks from school, a lot of the schools still not familiar about the understanding about the heart being more powerful than the mind, then to educate yourself and align yourself with the correct resource. You're welcome to connect with me at any time. I'm on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Instagram, so all over. And so you feel welcome to connect with me. HeartMath Institute shows this. And then to really to educate, to be open-minded, and to listen to, as Mar says, allow some silence. So you can hear your thought, but you can also hear your heart. Now, it's a practice that's not everybody, many people don't know to do yet. But again, when you align yourself with the right people who knows, then you can definitely do that. And then to take the actions. If we don't know something, and even if we say, we want to know how to cook, I wanted to cook rice pudding the other day. I didn't know how to cook rice pudding. Then I take the action. So you need to take the action. As Bill said, you don't just sit back and say, I want rice pudding and I don't know how to cook rice pudding. And so hopefully I somehow magically rice pudding will appear in my life. It doesn't happen like that. I said, okay, I need to look what's needed and then go get it, be proactive and go get the rice and go get the milk and do what it is that you are able to do right where you are, whether it's connecting. If you want to hear about heart awareness, connect with me. About environmental, with Lori, or connect with Mar about being able to be more, having a good connections. But I would say to be open mind, to be able to be open mind, to educate yourself, to connect yourself with the right source, and definitely above and beyond anything, to be proactive and take action.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Mar?
I would like to end with, if you allow me to read a very short paragraph from one of my favorites, author, Seeking Peace, Bridget Tan, is Little Butterfly, the 5 fingers method, the little butterfly. That is, first, there is a seed of good even in this adversity. 2, you don't have to believe, you only need to be open-minded. Every seed needs to be planted and nurtured before you can harvest the fruit. Metamorphosis often requires another struggle before you can fly. Metamorphosis is a messy process. Wabi sabi. It is your choice. Thank you, Bridget, for this.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Mar, for quoting me. And thank you. But it is very true. At the end, it is all of our choice, isn't it, on how to use the informations that we have and what actions would we take on that. Thank you so much. I love you. Thank for these wonderful, beautiful conversations. Thank you, Lori. Thank you, Mar. And thank you, Bill, when you listen to this. And thank you, our audience. Please share your thoughts and your comment in the comments below. We love to hear your thoughts, definitely. And also feel welcome to share this recording with anyone you love, because in here we are all in this together. We're all in this in our beautiful, beautiful heart. Thank you, beautiful, beautiful word where we connect our heart, our mind, our environment, and connect with each other. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much.